And a season full of surprises where a team like San Antonio Spurs doubled their wins from last year to this year. A player like Bam Adebayo surpassed Kobe's second highest scoring game of all time with 83 points. Game 4 of the NBA Finals has to be by far the most shocking thing to have happened this season. Honestly, it was so bad to where I put off making this video so long because I genuinely and truly didn't know what to say. I was lost for words. Again, my videos are unscripted, as y'all know, but I tried even writing the script, and I still didn't know what to say. The game was that shocking. This was the type of game that was so different, unlike any other. A historic performance from both teams in two very different ways. The San Antonio Spurs started this whole first half off with about a 27-point lead at halftime. And they broke the record for most threes made in the first half of an NBA Finals game ever. Again, 27 points. They were making everything. Knicks couldn't get anything going. And 99% of people thought it was over by halftime. Now, I'm not going to lie and sit here and say that I call this comeback. But if you thought about it, in every single game so far, Knicks start by getting punched in the face. These guys, again, are just last year's Pacers part 2 in these finals, all right? They need to be down to actually win because if not for making a comeback, they're just not doing it. These Spurs have been up by 10 points, I believe, as soon as the first quarter, every single game this series. And they only won one of them. Point being, after that first half, again, we all thought it was over. Until San Antonio played maybe the worst second half. I don't want to say ever, because I don't know NBA history like that. But the worst second half of a finals game I have ever seen in my life, bar none. What if I told you in San Antonio's entire second half, both the third and fourth quarters could be put together, and they'd still have less points than they scored in the first or second each? Well, that actually happened, and I'm not kidding. It was horrendous. Watching this game made me realize how they really just pulled a Boston Celtics, and they just shot themselves out the game by just chucking up threes, running it back, while the other team was slowly but surely chipping down at the lead. I don't think they made a single point in the paint the entire second half. San Antonio went ice cold. I just couldn't believe it, and Knicks stepped the fuck up. I think it has to do with Brunson taking over. Brunson has had a lot of flack this series for being a ball hog, taking the most shots. But when you're the team's number one scoring option, you kind of got to do that. He tried getting his guys more involved in the first half, trying to pass the rock to everybody else, but it just wasn't working out. And second half, it was when he decided to take over, and his boy OG followed along right with him. He was setting the tone for sure. But taking it back to Spurs. The biggest collapse in the second half I've ever seen in my life. Truly a half where the same team looks like a completely different group of guys from who was there showing up in the first half. The shots just weren't going in. Nothing they were doing was working, and all of that was happening was the inevitable. And Knicks just catching up and eventually having their way with the game. De'Aaron Fox, man. Now listen, I don't want to be some guy who puts this all on De'Aaron Fox. In reality, they had almost a 30-point lead at one point. A whole bunch of things were happening to that lead being blown. But my God, the whole point of De'Aaron Fox and this team is to have a veteran to lead the young guys, to show them the proper things to do at the right moments, specifically in the clutch. De'Aaron Fox is a former CPOY, Clutch Player of the Year. And he pulls what might be maybe the worst, dumbest play in NBA history. And I'm not kidding. There's a whole bunch of them out there, of course. I'm sure people can name other stuff and you can have conversations. But this might be the dumbest I've seen. Because how can you, as a veteran in this game, the oldest person on your team who's supposed to lead the young guys, show them the way, how to play the game the right way, especially at the most important times, you do the dumbest shit ever. You take a contested layup rather than just grabbing the ball and running out clock, dribbling it out, get fouled, get your free throws, get your points up the easy way. He said his whole mentality of taking that layup was to be up 3 and force him to take a 3 to win the game. You could have done that the way safer way, but no. You make a bonehead fucking play and lose your team the entire series because now it is 3-1. It's done. It's done. If De'Aaron Fox still stays on the San Antonio Spurs after this offseason, I am legitimately shocked, or he's just being used as a great bench piece because Dylan Harper, the rookie, is somehow outplaying the veteran in like every way this series, and it's just so fucking backwards. Shout out Dylan Harper, by the way. Youngest player ever to score 20 points in an NBA Finals game. That's what's up, man. This kid has so much potential, and hopefully he can turn into a huge star for Spurs in the future. But if he's this good now, legit, what is the point of playing Fox, man? Especially from that last play. Again, former CPO lineman just doing the most unclutch thing you can think of. My God, that was the dumbest play I've ever seen. And Wemby missing those last two free throws were huge. What a backwards moment for Wemby this game. As soon as he got off of the ground telling the Knicks crew that he was in their head, he was useless. Like right after that sequence, he had a really bad game overall. 8 points in the entire second half. No bueno. Just rough, bro. Just rough if you're a San Antonio fan. Y'all had a great run this year. Y'all will be back in finals for sure. I'm very confident you will. But holy shit. I guess this is why they say young teams can't win. You do need some sort of experience because in the first half, they looked like a poised squad. But in the second half, you could tell this is their first time here. They looked young in the worst way possible. On to the Knicks, though, bro. The best comeback ever. Legitimately, the best comeback ever. I'm going for Knicks this series. So watching this game, and when they were chipping down slowly but surely throughout the entire second half, after Brunson made that fucking insane, crazy shot over Wemby, cutting the lead to 1, you just knew it was over. I did at least. I had full faith that they were winning this game. You couldn't tell me otherwise. Until we get to the game-winning shot. Brunson from damn near the logo, pulling that 3. I thought that was it bricked. My heart was broken. But out of nowhere, we get OG Anunoby running across down the court to put up the greatest tip-in of all time. I was screaming my lungs out. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It's one of those things where you just legitimately can't believe it, bro. The third largest lead at half in an NBA's finals game ever blown. And then you got that pass to, I think, Castle, and then Castle fumbled it, whatever the case was. And the game was over. In my opinion, this, again, like, is the worst collapse ever, but at some way, somehow, I still think game 2 was worse. Because like I just told you guys, when you saw Knicks chipping at the lead over the course of the second half, you can kind of tell what was going on. Like, okay, if they win, that makes sense. Game 2 was a game that they were never supposed to even have a chance at winning when Spurs had 2 possessions to do something to make anything happen. And couldn't. So I think I must still like hold like game 2 being the game that haunts them the most. This is the most embarrassing, but I think game 2 is still the one that legitimately got away. This was just a collapse over time that was kind of foreshadowing itself. This game right here puts OG in serious Finals MVP talks. I personally still give it to Brunson, but game 5 could definitely be a deciding factor on that if it ends today. Now San Antonio down 3-1, going back to San Antonio, but it's still over, bro. I'm sorry. I just can't see it. You know my hottest take is, though? When I say it's over, I don't mean it's over today. I just mean Knicks are winning. With how close these games have been, this sounds crazy. I could actually still see this going to 7. I could easily see San Antonio bouncing back next game. Maybe Knicks have a hard time game 6 underneath all the pressure they'd be. For whatever reason, I feel like Knicks would be underneath 10 times more pressure in the game 6 than San Antonio would be tonight. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling I have, bro. It's weird to explain. And at that point, though, if they could actually make it past Knicks in game 6 and then they're headed back to San Antonio for a game 7, listen, I still have Knicks winning. But my God, it would have the NBA and the community in fucking shambles because that is, again, a 50-50 matchup. Both teams back against the wall. Spurs on the verge of maybe making a 3-1 comeback. Knicks on the verge of maybe blowing a 3-1 lead. Second time since my Warriors in 16, goddammit. That would be crazy, bro. That would be crazy. That would be crazy for both sides of the fan base, man. I'm rooting for it. I don't care. Man, if they actually win it in 5 in Texas tonight, that is such a poor look. You just know this will fuel Spurs for the future and it will make them better. They will learn from this if that happens. But, man, how anticlimactic would that be, bro? But anyways, that's all for me, y'all. This video took me so much longer to edit than I thought. I was adding in extra stuff and extra cuts. You guys probably heard like the difference in audio quality and cadence of my voice because sometimes I'm fucking laying down, sometimes I'm fucking standing up. Sorry for that. But anyways, yeah, Game 5 tonight, gonna be a big one. Y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, especially subscribe. I'll be covering every single game of this finals. If it goes to 7, if it ends tonight, whatever the case is. But yeah, see y'all till then. Until next time, y'all take care. Later.